All right, we'll go ahead and call the regular planned planning and zoning meeting to order. Time is 6 o'clock. Members present: Burton, Childers, Hagan, Mays, Golder, Jones, and McClellan. I think I got everybody. We'll go ahead and open up the public comment. If anyone wishes to come and address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter except items on the agenda and public hearings that are included on the agenda, comments please keep. All right, we'll go ahead and call the regular planned Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Time is 6.
There you go.
Okay, does anyone wish to come up and make a public comment? Since no one's coming forward, we'll go ahead and close the public comment and move on to the consent agenda items. We're gonna go ahead and pull item number 4 from the consent agenda and move it over to the regular public hearing items. And we're gonna have everything on repeat today, so it's gonna be a while. Does any of the other members have any issues with the consent agenda items 1 through 3?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agendas 1, 2, and 3.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Golder seconds. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the public hearing items and start with number 4.
Thank you, Chairman.
For the record, that was not me.
The final plat for Stone Canyon final plat, Phase 5B. However, we would like to recommend approval of the final plat with conditions that the applicant provides as-built plans and also provide the final punch-through approval from the Public Works on their punch list items for inspections. So those are the 2 conditions with which we would recommend approval of the final plat.
All right, is the applicant here?
Yes, Mr. Cash is present here.
Mr. Cash, are you fine with these?
Approve with the condition
Approve with the conditions.
that the applicant provides the final as-built plans to staff and also Public Works acceptance of the final improvements.
I had trouble reading my own vowels, and you want me to repeat all of that? Okay. Do you have it written down?
Okay.
Perfect. So we'd like to make a motion to approve item number 4 with the conditions the applicant provide as-built plans to staff and Public Works acceptance of final improvements. Anyone like to make a motion?
That's what you just did.
I will make a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, let's move on to item number 5, hold a public hearing, discuss and consider making a recommendation to the town regarding a special use permit request for a proposed car wash located at 3217 Beltline Road on an approximate 1.86 acre property within local retail zoning district. It is item case 1782-SUP Tommy's Express Car Wash.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Shrupa Sen, Director of Planning and Development. So the SUP application in front of you is addressed at 3217 Beltline Road. The property is zoned local retail, and I'm going to explain it through the map on the right side of your screen. The lot size you can see is said 1.86 acres. There was a preliminary plat application that you just approved as part of the consent agenda, which was, I believe, item number 3 after the minutes. So that was the Blackbird Business Park. Currently, that whole property that's kind of shown in light green or that shade, that whole 15.86 acre tract is an unplatted property. So the proposed car wash is going to be located within the proposed lot 1 of Blackbird Business Park, which is 1.86 acre, the smaller square within that bigger piece of property. The reason that's important is, as this is a specific use permit application, they were required to do the preliminary plat and eventually a final plat if the SUP is approved. That way we can legalize that lot 1, and the SUP will only apply to lot 1, not the rest of the property. So that's the distinction I wanted to make on the map. However, I also wanted to clarify, as you see on this map, the yellow bigger circle of 200 feet notification buffer that's required for any specific use, special use permit or zoning application. Because this property is currently unplatted and technically the application is for the full 15.86 till the final plat, the notice actually went out to the larger buffer. So that way all the residents within those yellow circle got the benefit of the notice of public hearing. So the request for the car wash is it's going to be about a 5243 square foot car wash with a 1 automatic wash bay. It's called the Tommy's Express Car Wash. It's, as mentioned, it's part of the larger 15.86 acre tract. Access from Beltline will be accessed through Beltline through 2 driveways. They are proposing a 25-foot landscape buffer along Beltline Road. They have submitted a tree mitigation plan and tree removal permit as part of their landscape plan. However, staff is still reviewing and working with the applicant, and a separate mitigation plan and permit will be required before they're allowed to go through construction. The property is heavily wooded. That's one of the reasons I mentioned it. Overall, as you have seen in the staff memo, staff recommends approval of the SUP request. Okay, hold on, let me turn this on. So this is the site layout, and in your packet we have the full size, or the full plan is included in the packet. The gray interior fire lane shows the 2 access points, the 2 driveways. I was kind of struggling in the staff report to explain how traffic is going to circulate from Beltline. So that's what I'm trying to show with the arrows on this graphic. So the first driveway, cars can enter on the site and only exit because there is no median opening. However, if you see the southern driveway, their cars can actually exit moving south or north through the median opening, the existing median opening on Beltline. That's important to know because whenever the rest of the site or the 15.86 acre in future, when that develops, it's important for us to see how the driveways work, because those are gonna be the only two driveways for this property, because that's kind of the main frontage. The car wash building, it's kind of shown in a beige rectangular box, the 5243 square foot building. You have the automatic wash bay that's starting from the north side of the building and kind of going inside the building and getting out. The two arrows pointing to the south, those are the 17 self-service vacuum stations. They're also proposing the 6-foot wide meandering sidewalk along Beltline within their proposed landscape buffer. A TIA was submitted and reviewed by our traffic engineer or consultant, and at this point, with the car wash use, a new traffic light is not warranted at this driveway. However, the full recommendation is provided in your staff report. When the rest of the site is developed in future, they will be required to update that signal warrant study, and at that time, we will review and see if a new signal is required. They do meet our parking requirements per UDO. A sound level study and a photometric study was also provided as part of this application, because it was found that for uses like this, that's important for people to know what kind of noise would be generated and what kind of light pollution might be generated. The noise generated at the back, and by which I mean, let me see if I can go back. So you can see the car wash is towards the front in that smaller rectangle. What the noise study showed, and the two graphics with the bigger aerial image that shows this site as well as a comparable site in a different location is part of your packet. It shows that towards the back where those residential homes are, the noise level is going to be around 49 to 50 decibel, which part the standard noise level matrix, you can say, is almost like at speech level, whereas your current noise level in Beltline due to existing traffic is about 80 plus decibel point. The applicant is present here tonight with his consultants and engineers, and they can elaborate more on those studies if you have further questions. Their landscape plan, the full plan is part of your packet. I just tried to take snapshots of different areas of the plan because due to the shading they used on the sod, if I put the full plan, you can't tell anything at that scale. So you can see the detail on the right side of your screen. That's the 25-foot landscape buffer with the meandering sidewalk and the berm. They are proposing the shade trees. There's 7 shade trees. They're also proposing interior parking lot and site landscaping. 13 shade trees throughout the perimeter of the site. 6 Chinese pistachiae are proposed. There are continuous rows of shrubs to provide visual buffer of the parking areas, and dumpster screening and enclosure screening is also dumpster enclosure screening is also proposed. This is the proposed building elevation. The good thing with this car wash project is they are treating all 4 sides almost as equivalent to a front facade. The reason they oriented the building kind of lengthwise rather than facing Beltline is because that way you get the shorter side of the car wash facility. So the image that's on the northwest, the smaller image, that's the elevation that would be facing Beltline Road. And then the 2 long side where basically your wash bay is going through the building, one would be facing the true south of the site and the true north. The proposed building materials are Texas limestone, CMU, and creative use of metal canopy and awnings. Also, you can see they have these raised towers and parapets, and the color is, of course, their brand color, which kind of gives this building a modern look or a contemporary look. Provides height variation and material variations, creating some interest in the building exterior. These are some of the site photos taken. One looking kind of inward to the property, and then the photo to the north of your screen, northwest of the left side. That one is looking north on Beltline. If you look at the south 2 photos, the right-hand side photo is looking straight across, and the left side of your screen, that's looking south. Another kind of a contextual update on the site is on north of the site, the zoning, it's local retail, south is local retail, east across Beltline is the vacant land is zone PD, and west is the farthest west, not immediately west of the car wash, but the total 15.86 acre tract. West of that is single-family residential. South of the site, which I said was local retail zone, that's the Little Ponderosa Child Care Center. You might be familiar, that might give you a context of where this site is. This is also important because it gives you, okay, where this is gonna be located along Bell Line. If we go back to the aerial image, so the child care center that you can see on your screen is on the south side. That's still a bit south from the actual car wash site. Then north is that existing home. One of the photos had there's a heavy tree line as well as the picket fence. On the west side of the site is all that remaining vacant lot, and then you go farther west is the single family subdivision. I believe that's what I had. Okay. So the proposed SUP request and comprehensive plan recommendations. So the Town of Sunnyvale 2017 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map designates the subject property as retail. This designation is representative of retail and service businesses that aim to meet the needs of both local and regional residents, and this designation is most suitable along major corridors. So no wonder that designation is along Bell Line, which is one of the most traveled corridor in the area. So the proposed self-service automated car wash is a neighborhood service / retail type use, which is in conformance with the comprehensive plan recommendations. We sent 49 letters of notification within the 200-foot of the subject property, and so since we have mailed the letters before we send the staff report, there were 2 letters. Now we have received 3, and I have provided you copies of the 3 letters. There were 2 letters in opposition and 1 letter in favor of this request that we have received. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is present here tonight and would be happy to answer any question, and I believe he has a presentation as well. I do have some additional slides at the back if you want to ask more questions about the photometric study or the noise study and the overall site if you want to look at that. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for town staff?
My only question would be, this doesn't qualify as a flag lot, right? We're not creating a flag lot with this. There's plenty of space between, is it the child care center and the car wash for retail development behind the property? I don't know how much space that is, but.
Yes, so there is enough room, and if we pull up the preliminary plat, can probably give you the distance. 152 feet, 152.67.
Thank you.
The applicant wish to come up and give their presentation? Please state your name and address for the record.
Chase Burns, 165 AW Drive, Stonewall, Louisiana. Thank you, Sarupa, for the presentation. I don't have a presentation. Well, this might be something. Michael, I don't have any PowerPoints, but I do want to introduce myself to you guys and let you know a little bit about Express Car Wash and how we made our way over here from Louisiana. But we currently operate 16 Express Car Wash tunnels, and that's from East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina. And I think we can attribute a lot of our success to the fact that we only do ground-up builds, and we only use the highest quality equipment, highest quality building materials, highest quality, pretty much everything in the industry has to offer. An investment like this is around $6 to $7 million, and so we don't cut any corners as far as site selection goes, and we also, as far as community selection as well. We have been looking at Sunnyvale for a long time, and we think that we can be a great contributor to the community. One of the things that I'm really proud of is every single car we wash, we donate a small portion of those funds back to the community, whether it be special needs camps, schools, hospitals. We usually select someone once a year, and we'll send those proceeds back to them. We're really community focused, as well as customer service oriented. You know, I hate to be lumped into the category sometimes of a car wash, particularly in communities where we're not currently operating in, because, you know, sometimes I'll even bring a flip phone with me to show you, but in the time that a flip phone went from a flip phone to an iPhone, the car wash has done basically the same thing as far as technology goes. And I think a lot of times it's not fully understood, the difference between a car wash built in 1998 versus a car wash built today, especially one that's built with the highest end the industry has to offer. And so I think that we can be a fantastic asset to the community, and I'm really looking forward to serving this community and being a part of it. So thank you for your time tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
It's probably in our materials somewhere. What are the hours of operation for this?
Generally like 7:30 to 8, but we can be flexible, you know, depending on traffic flow or, you know, just if maybe a neighborhood doesn't
Not
want us
late
to
into
open.
the night.
No, sir.
Is this the same car wash company that we had an application for months ago? I don't remember exactly. Summer?
It was probably me.
Okay,
We actually moved
Across
that
the
location,
street.
you know, across the
Okay.
street and down the road, as suggested by some of the people that came out to the meeting. So
and then I don't remember everything from last time, so is this gonna be, I'm trying to compare it to other car washes, which I shouldn't do, but there's gonna be attendants there and staff on duty all the time, and then
Yes.
it's not like full self-service?
this is
it's-
not full. Yeah, there will
Okay.
be at least 3 employees there from all waking hours. And I think also one of the letters says something about crime. We operate 36 security cameras. All the lighting stays on in the tunnel inside. We operate 16 of these things. None of them have ever been broken into. There's never been a crime committed on any of the sites. So I think that's something I read that and I was like, I didn't know that. So yeah, I just wanted to address that real quick.
I saw we just spent another $500,000 on police cars, so I'm sure they can help.
Yeah, for sure.
I do have a question. You said there will be how many employees, like usually
There'll
on
be
site?
between 3 to 8 that are on site at a time.
My one random question, does a car wash generate sales tax? Is there tax revenue from this?
There's a big property tax, huge, pretty much. Sales tax in the state of Texas is not yet. A lot of so in North Carolina, we opened a car wash there, and then a year later they initiated sales tax. So, I mean, it's probably going to happen. But property tax, yes, pretty big.
And with that being said, and this is gonna be directly across the future sports complex, which, you know, will definitely increase property values.
For sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
There's a gas easement that runs across that property. Is this built on the easement or is it outside the
No,
easement?
sir, that's outside. We're going to be back to the east of it.
Okay.
Could I ask, Beltline right now, particularly in the rush hours, is bumper to bumper for a mile back toward 30. And maybe I didn't see enough on this diagram. What's the provision for overflow for cars attempting to get in? Because after a heavy rain, cars are dirty, people are gonna wanna
Yeah.
get one. Is it gonna spill back into Beltline?
No, sir. We have some car washes that wash 1,500 cars a day, and the stacking level with those washes are nothing close to what we have situated for Sunnyvale. I can never see there being a moment where we have too many cars and we can't process them fast enough. We can process 230 cars an hour through one of those things, and I just have never seen the demand, especially in the southeast, to ever cause any problem like that would back us up in the street. Some of the older car washes, absolutely, that could become a problem. But this is, a new age, and there's never a problem. In fact, I saw developing a car wash in Shreveport, and that's where kind of our mainstay. And a lady on Facebook said, there's a Mexican restaurant and a car wash on every corner, and these car washes never look busy. And I was like, well, we're doing our job. That's exactly what we want. And so, we want to process 150 cars an hour and never have a line and never look busy. you know, and I think that this is a great place to do it, so.
Any other questions for the applicant?
The other question I got is about the trash. There's so much trash at car washes when you pull up. You said you have staff there.
Yes, sir.
How are we gonna be certain that they're going to,
So we have a vacuum concierge that's staffed 100% of the time. Basically, their job is to talk to guests and pick up trash. We take that very seriously. That's one of our, you know, that's something that we can control. We don't take it lightly, and something that can set us apart from the competition. You know, I think that if you wanted a closer understanding of how we operate, if you went to Quick Trip right here, we've actually talked to consultants that have consulted with Quick Trip, and we staff and we train a lot like they do. And I think you'll be shocked at, you know, the operation whenever we fully get up and running.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, please.
It's the first time doing this, sorry. My name is Philip Ryder, 5808 Lupton Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75225. Thank you guys for having me. I'm the owner of Cruth Protection Services. We're a fire protection and security company. We're currently located at 2611 North Beltline Road in that Sun Park Square next to the animal clinic. We started a business 3 years ago in Sunnyvale, in that or office complex. And so our business has grown over the past 3 years. We're now in 3 suites there. We have about 80 technicians running around Texas, but we have all of our office staff in Sunnyvale. Salespeople, admins, finance, HR, et cetera. And so as we've grown, we're in 3 suites, we walk outside. You know, one of the things that I wanted to do for our employees is have a place to call our own. And we've loved Sunnyvale. This has been a great town to have a place of business. We wanted to make sure we stayed here, and so bought this piece of land. I'm the owner of the land. Bought the piece of land about 1.5 years ago, I believe now, with the intent of on there somewhere putting a headquarters that we can have as our own and kind of be proud of, and wanted to stay in Sunnyvale specifically. Learned a little bit about commercial property as first time coming here, and what an easement is like, especially when you have a big gas easement. And so it's been kind of an interesting journey, but I think we have a great partner with Chase and what they're doing up on the Beltline, and the intent would be to put Caruth's headquarters behind that in what would be the Blackbird Business Park. And so that's kind of my story. Did I answer questions? Okay.
I don't have any questions. Do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions about the business park?
Okay, Derek Salser, 345 New Hope Road, Sunnyvale, Texas. The first slide that has the master plan would be, or the old master plan. If this car wash had been open over the past few months, it'd be doing a booming business with all the road construction that we've lived through over the last few months. Yeah, that's good. All right, so this property, I want to show this to you because this property has a lot of history until Phil bought it. The people who own this property are the multifamily developer who built the townhomes, the Riverstone Trails townhome, which is on the south side of 80 over there. They also own this property, and this was their layout for what they wanted to build there, a 300-unit multifamily project. And it was their layout until Phil purchased the property, and now it is not. One of the things that has kept, and you can go on to the next slide. Oh, I got the clicker. Okay, good. There's 2 reasons this property hasn't been developed, and somebody mentioned the first one just a minute ago, is that massive Atmos gas line that cuts right through the property. And that's what ultimately stopped the Riverstone 2 project from going forward, from even attempting to go forward. So it took us about a year, found out as Atmos didn't have an easement. It was just a blanket easement. There was no easement. Their line was there, but they were just entitled to put it anywhere they wanted. But it took a year to work with them to come up with the easement that you see. Our civil engineers here as well. So now there's a 100-foot wide easement that runs through it. So it kind of splits the front and the back of the site. The green shaded area is the site of the car wash, which would be the phase 1 that we're talking about tonight. And I put some distances on there. The blue are the 18 homes that border Phil's property. The closest home, the closest fence of a home to the car wash is 3 football fields away, 965 feet, and even longer, 1,000, 1,100. So it's quite a distance. So how can we take the 16 acres and divide it up so that we keep the retail and the busy users up on Beltline, and then keep the back quieter uses next to the houses? That's the key. So using the Atmos easement as the dividing line, everything west of that easement will be professional offices, office showrooms, low traffic destination retail, things that don't require visibility on Beltline Road, because being 1,000 feet off of Beltline Road is not good for any retailer, which is why no retailers want to go back there. So that's another reason that this property has not developed over time. So if I'm one of those 18 homes that border this, and I'm a Sunnyvale resident for 23 years, I have some big questions that I want answered tonight from whoever's building this car wash, which we know who it is. You just heard him. There's 5 questions that I wanted to address real quick that I asked, that I'm sure everyone else is asking too. I haven't read those letters, but I suspect what's in them. Does this project bring traffic to my neighborhood streets? Does it create a stormwater flooding problem? Will there be light shining down in my backyard? Will this business be a breeding ground for crime? And what kind of noise does this project produce? Those are the 5 things I want to know if I lived there. So traffic-wise, there's no connection of this site to any residential neighborhood via driveway, sidewalk, or street. And eventually there will be an 8-foot masonry wall all along the back of Phil's site between the houses and the alley that are back there. Does it create a stormwater flooding problem? The good news is, the developers of Creekside, which is the subdivision that has the most homes that back up to this, they were required to provide storm drainage to handle the Phil's property and also the car wash property. So the storm drain pipes are already installed under the streets of Creekside, and they daylight there in the back corner of Phil's property. That takes the storm water from the property over to the creek. It's already there. So will there be light shining down in my backyard? That's a double no to that answer, to that question. Not only will there not be light shining down into the residential backyards, the nearest light pole for the car wash is 900 feet away. And the code doesn't allow light to even bleed over to your neighbor's property, much less 1,000 feet away. So that's a good thing. So will the business be a breeding ground for crime? I liked what Chase was saying already. Of course, buildings don't commit crimes, people do. But I met with the former Sunnyvale Police Chief, Andrew Hawks, before he left Sunnyvale. And I asked him what kinds of businesses attract crime and what makes a business less attractive to homeless and criminal activity. And he said he had a great list of crime deterrents. Clean, well-maintained facilities, which he spoke to. Well-lighted property, which we can light as much as the code allows. Security cameras. Criminals don't like to be watched. Owners whose staff is very observant of their surroundings. That's a good one. And just simply the presence of customers. You know, that people don't like to be around law-abiding customers if they're criminals. And the business needs to build a see something, say something relationship with the police department, which I thought was good. All right, so let's go to the next, never mind. Okay, sound level. I bought a sound meter for this project, and I've been going all over the place with it. It's kind of fun, conducting little impromptu studies. But you see that yellow circle in the middle, that's a traffic, I think. Traffic, 85 decibels. So I took my sound meter to the Beltline property that we're talking about tonight, and into the Creekside and Glenwick neighborhoods. And then I studied 2 Tommy's car washes, one in Corinth, one in Denton. Took sound measurements all over the place. This one is, and of course I took my own vehicles through and tested out the product. It's the most, I go through tunnel car washes all the time with my nice cars. And it's the nicest, it's the best wash I've ever had of any tunnel car wash. And I don't know if it's because of the technology that he said or not, but it was great. Because usually I have to wash it again, if you know what I mean, after you go through a tunnel car wash, and I did not this time. So what you see on the screen here is there is a location in Corinth that is very close to a lot of houses, next to a Sprouts, next to a Starbucks, a church across the street, etc. So an 80 decibel sound when the car wash was, when a car was going through it, 80 decibels produced. And then the further you get around it, at the edge of their parking lot, it was already down to 50. Over by the grocery store, it was 40. And then back in the neighborhood, it's 35. So then I came to Sunnyvale. Stood up there on Beltline Road bravely. 81 decibels. So it's very close to what the chart said what is supposed to be for traffic. So 81 decibels back there. This is today with no car wash. Went to the back, 47 decibels at the back fence where the back corner of Glenwick, 50 over in the street there, Chaparral or Cypress, one of those streets, and then 45 and 46 back in the neighborhood. That's just what it is today. So if you looked at that other, at my case study, it's these numbers that are today are higher than the numbers I took at an active car wash location. And 85 or 80 and 80 decibel at the car wash is what this is, the same sound level as the traffic on Beltline. So we believe that this car wash will not affect the sound in the neighborhoods any more than the current traffic does. In fact, when I was there measuring the sound in the neighborhoods, the biggest sound were the condenser units of people's air conditioners. That's all you could hear walking down the sidewalk. An occasional bird. So I think that is the last slide I have. But I am available now for questions if you have questions for me or our civil engineer.
I have one. On the southern side of the property, is this a single-family residence? Not on the side by the child care center, the other side?
On the north side of the property?
South.
Go to the,
If you're, that's okay right there. South is a childcare,
Oh,
but if
okay.
you're wondering what is directly south, it's an Atmos facility. That's a gas facility, that's not a house.
With the brown roof?
Brown roof on it? Is that
Can you-
south or is that north?
You talking north?
We're talking about this.
Okay, north is a house
Okay,
that is in favor of our project, and
Okay.
it's a non-conforming use, because the houses, this is a residential zone district, but it's
Yeah.
a house.
okay. That's what I was
So,
checking.
yeah, they're in favor of the project. But that is a farm as well, and they have farm animals.
With the business park side of this, I see two ponds, one on the north side and one on the south side. And I know you said the water drain, I mean, if you have two
Drain.
ponds, it means your water's draining two different directions.
It drains the same direction, it's just, there's no pond there anymore. The front one you're talking about, closer to Beltline,
Mm-hmm.
it's not there. It may be a little wetland that was there at one time, but it's not there now. But the water does drain back to the very back corner.
Where the other
To the-
water,
That's where the outlets, inlets, outlets. That's where the outlets are currently, in the southwest corner back there.
so it is a detention pond. Now, will that detention pond have to be upgraded
Oh, yeah.
with,
Eventually, when we build the, the other uses back there, the business park, that's not what today's meeting is
Okay.
approving. But yes, I mean, right now, just with the car wash, you don't need any additional detention, right? Okay.
correct?
There's 15 acres of turf that absorbs anything that, it absorbs the water that would come off of.
So that would be a completely separate item down the road with
Yeah,
the business,
yeah.
okay.
What goes up against the houses is gonna be a whole nother presentation in the future.
Understood. Thank you, Derek.
Would it be possible to go back to the chart of the decibels just for a moment? There we go. So Derek, you were mentioning that when you took the reading on Beltline today, it was 81 decibels.
Yes.
The addition of the car wash wouldn't subtract from that, it would be additive.
It's the same.
So, okay, so it,
Same level of noise from the car wash is equivalent to the traffic on Beltline.
so if we add the sound of the car wash to the 81 decibels for traffic, that puts us pretty high on the noise level here, right?
It's not additive.
It's not additive? Okay. That was my,
Makes sense.
that was a question.
I have the decibel meter here. I was curious to know what it said it was just sitting in here. I forgot to bring it up with me here, but it's a fun little device.
Any other questions? Thank you, Derek. In that case, we'll go ahead and open this up to the public hearing portion. Anybody who wishes to speak on the matter, please fill out your card and give it to town staff. Please just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is, I'm mostly Spanish speaker, so forgive me if I don't express myself, but I'll do my best, okay? I've been living here in the community for 18 years. My name is Luis Marcor, 3112 Sage Tree Lane, and as I was saying, 18 years in Creekside subdivision, no? I live right in the corridor that is divided by the green and yellow lanes. And throughout my 18 years in my home with my family, we've seen an increase in the noise levels because of the traffic of of Beltline. Even though we have the Ponderosa right behind our home, that it's a great buffer for noise, the distance to the street, we've seen an increase in the noise. So my main concern is that they are saying that the car wash is, in terms of the noise level, it won't be additive, but I'm not a physics expert, but I don't see how, if you add up the noise from the street plus the car wash, I don't see how the noise is not going to increase, no? And also the traffic, the subdivision, like 10 years ago, I'm not sure about the dates, but they even put a traffic light at the crossroad of the Creekside Street, right to the perpendicular to Beltline. So because the traffic has been increasing in these years, so also what worries me is the increase in traffic, no? So those are my comments. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since no one else is coming forward, we'll go ahead and close the public comments hearing and move on to discussion. Does anyone on the commission have any further questions to discuss or add to what's already been addressed by the applicant and town staff?
I think one of the biggest deciding factors in the last time we had the car wash application was the issues we've listed already, but then also that we have car washes very close by already in other directions. And although it might be a really great car wash, it's just something that we have blocks away already, and we don't have a whole lot of local retail space still. It's really valuable for us, so I think that's just something that we need to be reminded of from last time.
I'd add that, you know, having someone go through that much process to really want to be here, you know, go through everything they already went through, pay all that money, again, go to the town council, and then have town council basically tell them, you know, go back to the drawing board, and then be able to find somebody that has a piece of property, could add some significant value. It fits all the criteria that the comprehensive plan is laid out. While we do have a limited amount of local retail, we don't have lots of businesses knocking down our door to put something up that our residents can utilize. And that's just my thoughts.
I think the difficulty with that property is the gas line running across there that is gonna limit what can be built there. So you got a small triangular area, and you're gonna have a difficult time finding something to put in there that's pleasing and reasonable. And I'm concerned what's gonna happen eventually on the back piece, but that's a decision down the road. So, and I respect people's decisions, but the noise does not add together. It's a certain level, and whatever underneath there, it's gotta be something higher than that level to become louder. It's not cumulative. So it's not gonna change. If their decibel test is around 80, it's not gonna be any louder than what Beltline is.
If there aren't any other discussion, then we can entertain a motion on item number 5.
I'll make a motion that we approve, item number 5, 16-212, as proposed.
I'll second it. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes 6 to 1. The next item on the agenda is item number 6. Hold a public hearing, discuss and consider making a recommendation to town council regarding a zoning map amendment from general business zoning district to planned development zoning district for an approximate 53.26 acre property generally located at 4640 North Beltline Road, consisting of the Daniel Steel Industries, and it is case number 1783 Z Daniel Steel Expansion.
The reason behind this rezoning request, I wanted to explain that first before I go into the details of the PD zoning itself. So when Daniel Steel Industries was first came into operation, that's way before our current UDO was adopted or current zoning ordinance was adopted. Currently, the zoning designation of this property that's highlighted on your screen on the right side of the map, all the properties that are kind of surrounded by the green color, that's all zoned general business. Now within general business zoning district, if you look at the land use table, the type of land use, which is more like a light manufacturing industrial type use, is not allowed. So what that did was it made Daniel Steel Industries, which is a pre-existing business, a legal non-conforming use. You might be familiar with the term that sometimes commonly used as grandfather, which is, yeah, the business was in operation continuously before the current zoning laws were adopted. They can continue to operate as a legal non-conforming land use. However, the UDO also regulates, it's a very common regulation in most city zoning ordinances, that you cannot expand a non-conforming land use. Now, Daniel Steel has been a very good industrial partner or a business within the town, and with their growth and current operations, they need to expand their facility. So that triggered basically this zoning amendment request. They want to expand their current building, add another 39,000 square foot portion to the building. Because the current UDO does not allow expansion of a non-conforming business, what this zoning amendment does is it changes the zoning designation from a flat or base general business zoning to a planned development zoning. Our UDO also states that for a PD there are certain requirements. It has to be a minimum so many acres of land, has to have a base zoning. So they're retaining the general business base zoning, however adding certain uses on top of that general business zoning, and one of the use being the Daniel Steel Industries current land use. So what that would do is, moving forward, if this zoning amendment is approved by council and the commission, their business will become, their land use will become a legal conforming land use, and they will be able to expand. So in a nutshell, I know it was a long drawn explanation, but that's why the zoning amendment application is in front of you tonight. Also, we saw another preliminary plat application as part of this agenda, which was item number, let me go back, which was item number 3 under your consent agenda. It was for the lots 1R, 2, and 3, Block A, Daniel Steel Edition. So all those properties that are shown that are under common ownership with Daniel Steel Limited, they are being platted into 3 lots. The existing building as well as the expansion will be on the proposed lot R, and then 2 and 3 would be the 2 southern lots. That's not shown here. This is the current condition of the property. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning or the zoning map amendment request. This is a snapshot of their proposed site plan. You can see the gray shaded area, that's their existing 56,682 square foot main building. The expansion is kind of the orangish color. It's gonna be about 39,100 square foot expansion. I already talked about the legal non-conforming situation. The property is already accessed through multiple existing driveways, so no new drive approaches are requested as part of this rezoning. All the shaded area that you see on the plan, like kind of the gray dots, that's the new pavement that is being planned with this expansion. Also, you can notice the existing fire lane and an existing water line had to be rerouted through the site because of the expansion. So you can see the building expansion towards the south of the site, so the fire lane is being rerouted as well as the water line. I'm not gonna go through, of course, this whole big list, but what we originally talked about, they are gonna be allowing all the uses that are currently allowed, permitted by right within the general business zoning district. On top of it, they're proposing to add certain industrial uses by right. In your staff report, the whole list is included there. This is a more like a snapshot. I tried to capture as many as I could. Then the middle column shows the uses that are requesting to be added with approval of a specific use permit, such as self-storage. I have been requested by the applicant that that's important to them. Gasoline filling or service station, restaurant with drive-up window, but they would still be required to go through a SUP process if this PD is approved. Say in future, they want to do a restaurant with drive-up window on the vacant piece south, they will have to come back to the P&Z and council for a SUP approval. Then the last column is, in my mind, the easiest column. Those are the prohibited uses. So they are listing certain uses that are going to be prohibited within this PD zoning. These additional development regulations, I've tried to make it like curtail it rather than take out the legal verbiage. In a nutshell, what we are trying to prevent is add some additional standards where if a new bay door or overhead door is being proposed, whenever, say, this is a big piece of property besides the Daniel Steel current operations. If in future there is a new user that comes and builds another similar use which requires an overhead door, they should not be visible from public right-of-way. Primary facade of any new building, they should be facing Beltline Road. Any outside storage proposed as an accessory use, so that's a key point that we wanted to make within this PD, that no new use should be a primary outside storage. It has to be a secondary use. Like you have a business, you have some outside storage, and on top of it, those storages has to be screened by 8-foot tall solid masonry wall and a landscape buffer of not less than 25 feet. However, Daniel Steel's existing outside storage will be restricted to areas behind their shop or building where it's not visible by through public right-of-way. Any new development within this PD shall be required to go through a detailed site plan approval process as outlined within the UDO. And the last two bullet points that deals with some of those existing small structures or secondary structures on their property. So we have discussed this with the applicant that once the building expansion is complete, within 24 months, those additional accessory structures, which is mostly used for storage, should be brought into compliance because those are the same way. Otherwise, we will be ending up with a situation where we are legalizing and letting some non-conforming structure continue with their operations. And if a new owner or user occupies the lot 2, which primarily contains those other structures, within 24 months of Daniel Steel building expansion being complete, those structures would need to be brought into compliance as stated here, or demolished immediately. So before this goes to town council, of course, we will work with the town attorney's office and put this in the ordinance format and legalize the languages where it makes this ordinance more attractive for future purposes, where we are preserving this or protecting this bigger piece of property and not just the Daniel Steel development. That's the building elevation. If you can see, there is like a little bit of text where on the top it says the existing building, like pointing an arrow to the left, and then to the right would be the new proposed addition. As part of the PD zoning, they're also proposing a 20-foot tall pylon sign to replace the existing monument sign on the property. Staff is still working on the design aspect of that pylon sign, and that would be made part of the PD ordinance. However, as with any new signage, a separate sign permit application and review will be required after the zoning process is complete and if the zoning process is approved before installation of the sign. Other items I already talked about, the water line and the fire lane to be rerouted. Also, this modification is necessary to provide adequate fire protection. The existing building and the proposed expansion are not required to be sprinklered based on the land use, and the plans have been reviewed by the town engineer as well as the fire marshal for compliance with our code and ordinances. Besides that, I also wanted to mention, you might have read in the staff report that for any new zoning application, whenever they come into us for an existing project or a new project, or more for existing projects, we do a compliance check. We make sure that where they stand in terms of our current UDO requirements. And you might notice there are certain areas that did not hit all the UDO requirements, but at this point, Daniel still has not committed to making additional improvements, such as like add more landscaping or berm along Beltline corridor, which is one of the current UDO requirements. These are some of the site photos. That's the front of the building of Daniel Steele. Those are the additional storage structures on site, south of the main building. And then the other photo shows the view from Beltline. That's their wide landscape area. This property is also similar to the other property that we just looked at. As per our future land use map, is designated as retail. Again, the designation is most suitable along major corridors. Now, in this case, it's an existing business. The proposed zoning map amendment, if approved, will bring this property or the land use in conformance with the comprehensive plan recommendation as proposed. PD zoning retains the UTO general business zoning district standards. 11 letters of notifications were mailed within 200 feet of the subject property, and staff have not received any responses with regards to the zoning request. That concludes my presentation. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer. The applicant is present here tonight if you have any question for them. Thank you.
Questions for town staff? And we'll go ahead and have the applicant come up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Rhonda Daniel McCune, and my address is 5514 Swiss Avenue, Dallas, Texas. Thank you, committee, for letting us have the opportunity to speak. As I said, my name is Rhonda, and I'm here tonight with two of my brothers, Jeff Daniel and Jody Daniel, and my son Dominic. We represent the second and third generations of Daniel Steele. Our dad started this business in 1970 with his first office being just north of Beltline on Town East Boulevard in a rental lot. He was friends with Junior Landers, who Mr. Landers owned Landers Mercantile before there was a Kearney store. And Mr. Landers actually helped my dad find his first 5 acres down on Beltline that he bought. So from that time forward, and that was in about 73 when he bought that land. So we have been on that end of Beltline, which is, as Sarupa mentioned, either the first place in Sunnyvale or the last place in Sunnyvale. Our land actually goes all the way to the floodplain of Duck Creek. We've grown over the years, as you saw with some of the outbuildings, and our last big expansion was in 17 years ago when we built the new facility that you see today, the stone building. What we're trying to do now is plan for the future. And to that end, we coordinated with Derek Salser and his team because we needed to know what our future planning looked like for our growth of our company. Obviously, we're committed to the growth of Daniel Steele, and we're committed to the Sunnyvale community. Back 50 years ago, there were very few businesses, and we were probably one of the first ones. So we've been longtime supporters of the community, from the schools, the Sunnyvale Garden Club, the Education Foundation, National Night Out, Sunnyfest, you name it. When you're a business, you get called on, and we've always been happy to help with the town of Sunnyvale. So to that end, looking forward, we engaged with Derek because we're planning. We know we want to continue our existing Daniel Steel business because it is thriving. We do a tremendous amount of industrial and commercial residential work, hospitals, distribution centers, lots of schools, fire stations, all of those things that are construction related. And obviously, we're all lucky to be in this market in the DFW area because construction is booming everywhere, and we want to continue to capitalize on that. So by engaging with Derek, we wanted to find out what we needed to do for long-range planning, figure out our zoning, what potential future land uses we have with our 50-plus acres down there, and our shop expansions plans. And Derek and his team have obviously worked with Sarupa and the town staff diligently to comply with all the ordinances and things that we know we need to do, and we're very happy that the staff has recommended approval for our project, and we look forward to continuing our relationship and growth with the town, and looking forward to your approval. Thank you very much. Any questions for me?
Any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Derek, that's gonna be tough to follow, but I'm rooting for you.
Derek Salser, 345 New Hope Road, Sunnyvale. So, yeah, it's tough. It's hard to follow, Rhonda. But if you've seen me make a presentation, I can't not have some Sunnyvale trivia and history in it. That's just who I am. I loved architecture history in architecture school. I love Sunnyvale history. This is the only piece of property in Sunnyvale to border both the city of Mesquite and city of Garland. It is the corner border piece of a puzzle, I think, is probably the best way to say it. People still do puzzles. If you ask around town, you'll find that a lot of people don't even think Daniel Steel's in Sunnyvale. They don't realize it because there's welcome to Mesquite, welcome to Garland signs right out in front of their business there, and there's not a welcome to Sunnyvale sign down there in that end of town that I'm aware of. And the only welcome to Sunnyvale signs are not even at our borders that I know, the two that I'm thinking of, one on Collins, one on Town East. But we are very happy to have Daniel Steel in the town. They're the great community partner, like Rhonda said, and not to mention that they're top 5, if not top 3 sales tax contributor in the town. So with those other 2 cities border 2 sides, the other side is bordered by another family business. Just to the south is the Williams family, a funeral home and cemetery business. So the Pleasant Ridge Cemetery is just to the south of this property, and land that the Williams family owns. And I don't see any occupants of the cemetery here. They don't seem to mind what goes on at Daniel Steel next door. So this is a perfect place. I didn't know that until tonight, how they selected this property, but it's a perfect place in Sunnyvale to have an industrial use. And that you wouldn't have thought it, but that is a great use, and it has been all this time. So you saw, this is the old shop that's being replaced by the new building that you just saw. This is their existing building, and I've told them this, that if all industrial buildings in Sunnyvale look like this, there'd be a lot more warehouses and factories in this town. Because that is an awesome design, and more than they were even required to do 17 years ago. This is their old shop inside. This is inside that big building. If you've ever taken a tour, or if you want to take a tour sometime, I'm sure they'll give you one, but there's a lot of really neat machines in there. Those cranes cost more than our houses, I can tell you that. Oops. I'll go back to that. Okay. So the reason we're here, sometime between, the early seventies and now, this property was, zoned from allowing those industrial uses to the general business, which doesn't allow that use. I'm not sure how it happened. I talked to Mayor Fopp, and he talked to Jerry Daniel, and they had an agreement or something, but whatever it was, now it needs to be cleaned up into what Sarupa and I are presenting into this PD change. So, I guess it really just doesn't matter how we got to this place. We just need to make it so the Daniels can expand their shop and develop the rest of their property into, new businesses that the town will be proud of as well. So I think it's a win-win-win, which I say a lot of presentations. A win for the Daniel family business, a win for the Sunnyvale community, and a win for the economics of the town. So I'm available for questions as well. I think our civil engineer might be here too. Yes, he is.
Derek, I got a question. The connection coming to Northwest Drive where the signal light is, the driveway that comes off there going at a 45-degree angle, are you leaving that in, or are you going to relocate to line up better with the intersection? Because there's lots of trucks
Brandon,
that come
you
through
can,
there.
I think we're leaving it as is. Yes, I hear a yes for now. And when lots 2 and 3 get developed in the future, it will all have to be reworked with common access drives and buffers and whatnot.
That's why I was wondering if you're doing it now, because I know semis go in there all the time picking up the rebar and
There are.
coming out, and that's the easiest way for them to get out is at that signal light.
Is that the way they normally leave? Our
primary route goes from, you turn right on Beltline and go to 30 and up to 635. So only if I would say it's more often, they just wait at the driveway. I mean, they use them both, but.
So you're saying most of the traffic comes out and goes back to I-30, doesn't even go through Sunnyvale?
Yes, most of it,
Okay.
yes.
That's a good question about that stoplight. They're blessed to have a stoplight there.
We had to do that when we did our expansion.
Well, those are $250,000 now, I've heard.
Any other questions for Derek? In that case, thank you, Derek. We can go ahead and open up this item to the public comments. If anyone wishes to come speak, please fill out a card and give it to town staff. Since no one is coming up to speak, we can go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to discussion.
This just seems like a no-brainer to me that we should do it. I mean, through no fault of their own, their zoning was changed on them, apparently. And I think this is just a good, like Derek said, win-win for the town and for the family.
I also think anytime as a committee, we sit up here and we hear so many applicants come up and so many different industrial operations from million-square-foot facilities, and to have a local business up here, just, I love when we get local people to come up who already have major commitments to the town and are such a good representation of what Sunnyvale is and the people of our community, and it's a very pleasant experience. So thank you.
I move for approval for recommendation to town council regarding the zoning map amendment for general business, from general business zoning district to plan development, item 213-222 on the agenda.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
And then all those in favor? I apologize, Sir Rupert's gonna correct me on something.
I don't know whether we need to correct, the item is item number 6.
Oh.
She can do that.
I move for approval of item number 6 on the agenda.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That concludes today's topics. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor of adjourning? All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.